Okay, tonight is a...
Good Lord, it wasn't being recorded until now.
Honor the outside.
Yeah, it's a good thing, right?
Right to honor the outside.
Okay, we're up to the mishna, right? Ein Vav Beis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go weiter, what's with tomorrow? I know it's the stupid bowl, but I have my nephew's chas, and I told you the next couple weeks gonna be a little rough and different nights. So I could probably do it 9-ish the regular time, but depending where the chasen is holding, I might have to do a little later. I don't know. Or we could just decide to do it at 6:15, or halftime. I don't know.
Earlier than later.
Yeah, earlier than later is right. Because even the guys
6:15 is very hard
the
for me.
people who are watching the game. 9 o'clock could be the last 10 minutes of the game. So
Rabbi Horowitz, how do you like Bauer?
I said, let's do it right at the beginning. Who has to watch the game? It's a game.
Rabbi Horowitz.
So that's what Jesse said. 6 o'clock. That's what Jesse said.
I mean, the question is whether you want people on or you don't want people on.
Right.
We should do it 10
So
to 9.
you could do it during the
Horowitz,
game. I don't know how many people you're going to get.
Rabbi Horowitz, do you like Trevor Bauer?
I don't know Trevor Bauer. I have no idea who he is.
You know who he is?
Yeah, he's a pitcher. No, I didn't. Last year I did not pay attention.
He was meant to sign with the Mets.
Did he sign?
No, he signed with a different team.
Oh, so what are you asking me then? So what's a night game? What's a night game?
He's so tzibrochen. This nephew of mine, I have to say over to Vavra, he says, the people that died from COVID, Hashem wanted him to die from COVID, but he's so tzibrochen about Bauer. So I said, I don't understand. What are you so tzibrochen? Hashem wanted Bauer to go to the Dodgers. Finished. What are you?
Oh, he went to the Dodgers like this season?
Yes.
What, are they going to have 9 starting pitchers? What are they gonna...
I don't know.
But really, Hashem doesn't really care about those people.
Look, Yaakov, that was just for the Dodgers to stick it to Stevie Cohn. That was it. It was just to stick it to him. That was it.
I guess so.
Tell Yosef that if he would have picked you up, he would have signed with the Mets.
Oh, there you go.
By the way, if you would have told me that, I would have drove to Callaway.
Anyways.
I'll go to Cedar Express.
I think the 6 o'clock range makes more sense.
Yeah, but it's very bad
so.
for you, Gershon. No, we could do 8 too. I don't know. What time does the game start?
Either way, it's on YouTube, so someone can always watch it when they want.
6. What time?
You don't watch a game when you want. You watch a game when they play it.
Not YouTube. I'm talking about the Daf. No one's gonna push off the Super Bowl. I'm sure that's more important to them.
How does it start the stupid bowl?
No offense to Gershon, but Gershon asked us to change the Daf for a stupid debate. You know what I mean?
No.
Look, we could go back to the videotape. You asked us to change the first debate. We did it. Now we're going to change it for the Super Bowl.
You're changing it for the beginning of the Super Bowl. What's that out?
No, Trevor Bauer.
But unless we want to do I like 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock might make a lot more sense.
So that's halftime.
That's probably halftime in that area, and it's not so early.
Well, if it makes sense for you.
But isn't that the puppy bowl?
The chuppah that I'm doing is called for 6:30, so it's Lakewood time. So 7. I would think 8 o'clock would make sense. So the other one could decide. 8. It's either 6:15 or 8. That's what I would say.
8 o'clock works. Either one works.
Not unless they watch on halftime. Gotta ask that too.
Right.
Whichever one works better for you.
I'm not going to know. For me, it's going to be a call.
Can I say something crazy? It's Sunday. Why don't we do Sunday morning?
Go.
I didn't want to go down that road.
Don't put that in as a choice.
I don't know.
Why I like the by the way, I like the Sunday morning idea.
There's 20 chevra who have whatever they do on Sunday. They don't have to change it. But just pick a time out of the blue.
You can watch it.
Why don't you do it to Nate? Do it to Nate. Let's do it to Nate.
I don't want that.
Put anything.
Okay.
I'm in
I just want to be clear. Ravon, if anyone else said it,
I'm busy. Me and Shmuel David are busy. Why don't you do it, Naftali, 17 minutes after Mincha Gedoyla? What does that have to do with anything?
I can say one thing. Most of the people, nobody's doing gardening this Sunday morning. That much I know. Maybe Icky. Maybe Icky and Uri, and that's about it. Nobody
What time
else
is
doing
Mincha
any gardening.
Gedola?
Yaakov, I like the Sunday morning idea.
Yaakov, are you giving the ladies share?
Yes, I am.
Because very soon they're going to log in and give their opinions, and then we're up the creek.
Paris, it's
Uh,
Just what we need, more opinion.
that's right.
Yes, network.
What time's Chatzos tonight?
Yeah, but don't show anyone the code.
Yeah. What do you call it? Okay, so let's go. With the island, whatever could decide, 6:15 or 8. That's fine by me, whichever one. I think probably 8. I would say 8 because it's more. I would say 8 makes sense.
It doesn't work, man.
Yeah.
Fine. So make it
Okay,
8.
so let's
You
say
want
8
it
o'clock.
8
We'll do 8 o'clock.
Yaakov, 8 o'clock, you could be in competition with Rabbi Feiner's halftime show.
It's not gonna work.
All right, no shine. I'm sure that's going to be on YouTube.
So you got to make some tough decisions in life, okay? Nobody said life's easy.
Hey, Ron, it runs in the family. You're in a competition where they find his shul, and Reb Shlomo is in competition with his shia. That's it. This is against the family. No.
Watch out, Rabbi Feiner's going to have a conspiracy theory on us soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Zok the Mishnah. Yeah, on.
Good thing he can't lock Aaron's open shul.
How are you going?
Right, that's true. That's true.
Paris,
Yeah.
I think you tried, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Zok the Mishnah, right? Ayin Vav on the base. So basically, tonight is going to be all about the Tumah and Tara, with the Tumah being Daicha, the korbanos. Yeah, the second half is it's technical, back and forth with kashas terutzim. Okay, so chamisha dvarim b'ayim b'tumah. There's 5 things that are b'ayim b'tumah ve'ena nechala b'tumah. But you bring the korban b'tumah, but you can't eat the korban b'tumah. Ha'omer, the korban omer, that's what's brought on second day Pesach. Shtei halechem, that's the 2 loaves of bread for Shavuos. Lechem aponim, that's the weekly, what do we call that? The showbread, right? That's the showbread, yeah. Zivchei shalmei tzibur, any korban shlomim from the tzibur, usirei Rosh Chodesh, and the goats that we bring on Rosh Chodesh, right? So if there's tumah, then that's doicha the tumah. That's doicha tumah, but lamaisa you're not allowed to eat the korbanos. HaPesach shabbat b'tumah nechal b'tumah, but korban Pesach though, that's special din. Korban Pesach is nechal b'tumah, and it's I'm saying it's you makar it b'tumah and you eat it b'tumah. Shaloiba mitchilasa ela lachila, because the whole point of the korban Pesach is to eat it. So if we're already allowing it to be brought when it's tamei, so then it's gonna be you eat it also b'tumah. So Gemara says chamisha lemutei mai. What is the 5? What are they coming to exclude? Lemutei chagigas chamisha. So if the island remembers, right, there's a chagiga that's brought on the 15th. Right, that's a regular korban chagiga. It's brought on all 3 Yom Tov. Right, you bring the korban chagiga. Sagda the chamina kimi the korban tzibur. Who the korban chagiga lemaisa is a korban tzibur. Vikviya lemayir, it has a set time to be brought. So titchi tuma, it should be daicha tuma, just like the other 5. Kamashul and kivin the islay tashlum and kol shiva. Since if you don't bring the korban chagiga on the first day, right, you can bring it all 7 days. Lo yidachya Shabbos is not doicha Shabbos. And the Shabbos lo yidachya tuma. And if it's not doicha Shabbos, it's also not doicha tuma. Yeah, so because the 2 go together. If it's doicha Shabbos, it's usually doicha tuma. If it's not doicha Shabbos, not doicha tuma. So anyone says v'nisni nami seirei haragolim. Why don't we also say the seirim of Yom Tov? Right? Why is that not doicha? Haitanale zivchei shalmei tzibur. Haitanale. No, we already said zivchei shalmei tzibur, right? Seirei haragolim, the seirim that are brought on Yom Tov is included in shalmei tzibur. Ihachi seirei Rosh Chodesh nami. So if that's the case, why do you need a separate? Again, this says 5 examples in the Mishnah, right? Of which one was zivchei shalmei tzibur and seirei Rosh Chodesh, right? So the Gemara is saying seirei regalim, the seirim from Yom Tov is included in seirei korban tzibur. So if that's the case, so Rosh Chodesh is also korban tzibur. Ihachi seirei Rosh Chodesh nami lo nisni the hatana zivchei shalmei tzibur. Right, it should be included. Amri, so we say, now we're on to Amud Aleph. Zira Rosh Chodesh it's dichuya. No, you need to have a separate limit for Zira Rosh Chodesh. I would have thought halak sibuhu mayid. It doesn't say mayid by Rosh Chodesh. Kamash Malanda Rosh Chodesh ikri mayid. The Rosh Chodesh is called in a mayid. Kedabayit Amar Abayit Tammuz the high shata miluyi miluyo or miluyi malya. The Tammuz was 30 days, right? Meaning the way months work is like this month is 30 days, right? Rosh Chodesh is enough. Anytime there's 2 days Rosh Chodesh, that means there's 30 days in the month. Whenever there's 1 day Rosh Chodesh, there's only 29 days in the month. So when Moshe Rabbeinu sent the Meraglim, right? So they were sent out on Chaf Tes Sivan. The Meraglim was sent out on Chaf Tes Sivan, right? They came back 40 days later. And then that's when everybody cried. And it was supposedly the night of Tisha B'Av, right? So that means it happened. They came back on the night of Tisha B'Av. I'm sorry, they came back on Tisha B'Av, which means that they cried when on Yurav, right? So must be that it was no. They came back on the 8th and they cried on the 9th because there was an extra day. That month Tammuz was 2 days. Normally Tammuz is only 29 days. That month they made Tammuz 30 days. So that's what it means. So Kedamar Rabbi Tammuz Daishatim Milui Malya Tichsiv Kara Lai Mayad Lishbar Bachura, because it says in Eicha, it says Hashem called it at a set time to Lishbar Bachura, to smash, to break the Bachurim. So therefore you see that Rosh Chodesh is called a Mayid, which is interesting though, because we know that really we go to Chatzais on Yud, because most of the Beis HaMikdash burned on Yud. So it comes out that really it does make sense that the Meraglim came back on Tes and the crying was on Yud, because most of the Beis HaMikdash was Taka burned on Yud. Okay, but that's all. Whatever it is, bottom line is the I don't know the Musar, but the lesson also we learn from this is that the Ma'aser Rosh Chodesh is no jokes. You know, we poo-poo Rosh Chodesh. The Ma'aser Rosh Chodesh is called a Mayid, right? It's called a Mayid. Like this you're supposed to eat extra food on Rosh Chodesh, and on Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, which is next week, you're supposed to have an extra one more extra food than you normally have than you normally have on Shabbos, because Rosh Chodesh is a serious thing. Okay. Then it says, do you mean to say that we can learn everything out from Mayir? How do you know this? The Tanur Rabbanan, right? A pasuk that we all recognize. Moshe spoke and said all the Mayir Hashem. What's that coming to teach us? Right? This only tells us that the Tamid and Pesach, Shenemar Kimbahu b'Mayadoi. Right? It says b'Mayadoi b'Afilu b'Shabbos. It says in its time, even if it calls out on Shabbos, b'Mayadoi b'Afilu b'Tumah. And b'Mayadoi is even b'Tumah. Shar korbanos tzibur minayin. How do we know other korbanos tzibur? Shenemar elu tasu l'Hashem b'Mayadechem. These are the things you should do for Hashem in your times. Minayin l'Rabbis Aimer. How do you know that it comes to include the Aimer, ba'Korev imayin, anything that gets brought together with it? Shtei alechem v'korav imam, and the shtei alechem, the two breads by Shavuos and what's brought with it. There's a mayid for all of them. Okay, so that's the bottom line. That's how we know all the limudim, because anytime it says mayid, we learn out that mayid means it's daicha Shabbos and it's daicha Tumah. Okay, so then one says the obvious question: why do you need all these cases? Just learn out one mayid and learn out the rest of the cases from them. So tzrichi, the Gemara needs it. Gemara says we need to say all the cases. Because of Rachmana Tamid, if it would have just learned out korban Tamid, we would have learned out everything from it. Havamina Tamid shekain tader b'kala. I would think that Tamid is considered chashuv because it's constant, it's every day, twice a day, and it's kolel, and it gets totally burnt up on the mizbeach. So that's a chashuv a thing. Aval Pesach loy, but Pesach does not. It's not Tamid, and it's not totally eaten, and so therefore it should not be daicha kamash malon that it is. Because of Rahman Pesach shu anish karas. Pesach has something very chashuv about it because it's an anish karas if you don't do it. Aval tamid the ain't anish karas aim but if the korban tamid does not have karas, I would say maybe it's not daicha Shabbos and Tumah. Kamash Malon, that it does. Well, okay, it's really talking about Tumah, not Shabbos. Because of Rachmana Hani Tarti, and if it would have just said these two, Tamid and Pesach, Havamina Hani Hu Yesh Behen Tzad Chomer. These both have a Tzad Chomer. Tamid Tada V'Kolil, because Tamid is constant and gets totally consumed, right? Pesach Shehu Anish Karis, and Pesach is Karis. Avashal Korbanos tzibur, but every other korban tzibur, Emaloi, I would say that it's not Doichatuma. Because Rachmana Eila Tasu Lashem Moyadechem. It says these are the things you should do in their times. Because of Rachmana Eila Tasu Lashem Moyadechem, Havamina Shar Korbanos tzibur Habayin Lechaper. That's only korbanos tzibur that are coming to do it for a kapara. Aval Omer Shtei Alechem, they ain't Bayin Lechaper, but the korban Omer and the Shtei Alechem, that has nothing to do with kapara. That's just the korbanos that you have to bring. The Omer is because before you can eat any new wheat, you want to be makar to Hashem. And the Shtei Alechem, the ain't Bayin Lechaper, Ela Lahater Ba'amanu. So you would think they're just coming to be matter things, right? So, I mean, what's the Shtei Alechem coming to be matter? Shtei Alechem is the korban that you have to bring on Shavuos, right? Oh, because that's why, right? So the korban mincha, they didn't allow the new grain to be used for korban mincha until after Shavuos. That's what it is. So that also allows it. So you would think that they're just there to be matter, not for a kapara. So you would think it's not doichatuma. Kamashon that it is, because Rachmana Omer Shtei Alechem L'chudayu. And if it would say Omer Shtei Alechem by itself, Havamina Adarabba. Omer Shtei Alechem Dalimi the Bayin Lahater. Maybe they're stronger because they come to be matter. Aval Hanoch Loi, but these not. Right? These cases not. Kamash Malon, that you need Mayed to tell you on all these cases that it's Doicha, that they're Doicha Tumah. Okay, so now Savrua, this next Gemara is a shtickle famous. Savrua, the Lekuli Amatuma dichuya hi betzibur. Meaning, when we're saying that a korban can be brought betumah, does that mean that we're saying, okay, there's no restrictions whatsoever, the tumah is gone? We look at it as if it's hutrah totally, or is it dichuya, meaning it's pushed off? We really prefer not to bring the korban. So we have to do whatever we can to try and bring the korban normal, or do we say no? It's not, it's fine. So Savrua, they thought the lekuli alma tuma dichuya hi betzibur. They thought that the tumah is just considered pushed off. Ubayin tzitz l'ratzis. We had this a while ago. When anytime a korban is tama or something spills, so the tzitz covers it. The tzitz is what the kohen gadol wore across his forehead. That tzitz covered the korban, and Memela made it that the korban was acceptable. So again, and meaning if it was hutrah, you wouldn't need the tzitz. We look at the tumah that it's gone. It's gone. We don't look, since everybody's tamei, it's gone. That would be if a tumah is hutrah. But if it's dichuya, you need to somehow figure out a way how you're going to get this korban to be accepted. So that's where the tzitz comes in. So again, tzitz l'ratzos, you need the tzitz in order to make it from the word ritzei that we say ritzei Hashem Elokeinu. You want the korban to be accepted. The lechatchila, the shamas leidamer tumah hutrah b'tzibur. There's no tana that says tumah's hutrah b'tzibur ela Rabbi Yehuda. It's only Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya, tzitz bein sheyeshna al mitzchay bein she'ein al mitzchay. The tzitz, whether it happens to be on the forehead of the kohen, ubein she'ein al mitzchay, or it's not on the forehead, meratza. It will make the korbanos be accepted. Reb Shimon, that's what Reb Shimon was. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, adeu al mitzchay meratza. When it's on his head, it's meratza. Ein adeu al mitzchay, but if it's not on his head, then ein meratza. Right? That's Rabbi Yehuda. Some of the Reb Shimon, kohen gadol b'yom kippurim yechiyach. Why don't we? The kohen gadol on Yom Kippur should prove it, because she'enei al mitzvah, the kohen gadol does not wear the tzitz on Yom Kippur umeratza, and it makes the korbanos accepted. Right? So you see that the tzitz works even when it's not on the kohen's forehead. Amalai hanach liyom kippurim. No, leave Yom Kippurim shetuma hutrah b'tzibur. By Yom Kippur, tumah is hutrah b'tzibur. Yeah, Mechlal Reb Shimon Tzavar Tumah dichuya b'tzibur. So we see that Reb Shimon holds Tumah is dichuya, meaning if Reb Yehuda holds Tumah is is hutrah, means Reb Shimon holds tumah is dichuya. Fine. Okay, so that's what we're saying. So the tumah is only considered pushed off, and you need the tzitz in order to make the korbanos be accepted. So then the Gemara says the kuliyama, now a new thing. The kuliyama ain't a tzitz meratza ala chilas. According to all opinions, the tzitz is not meratza on food. Now this is a little interesting because the Mishnah says that these korbanos work, but you're not allowed to eat them. Right? So the Gemara is saying, yeah, because everybody says that the tzitz will make the korban be accepted, but the tzitz will not allow you to eat the korban. The lechatchila, now what does that mean? Because if you can't, you can't eat the korban. Okay, what's that? We'll get back to it in a minute. The lechatchila the shamas leidomar tzitz meratza ala chilas ela Rebbe Eliezer. There's no tana that holds that the tzitz is meratza ala chilas. Only Rebbe Eliezer. The Tanya, Rebbe Eliezer Aimer had tzitz meratza ala chilas. Rebbe Eliezer says that the tzitz is meratza ala chilas. Rebbe Yossi Aimer ain't a tzitz meratza ala chilas. And Rebbe Yossi says the tzitz is not meratza. Fine. So now the Gemara says a new thing. So name him as nisin to like Rabbi Yeshua. Let's say that our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yeshua. Okay, going back to well, we're going to see exactly which Rabbi Yeshua is, but meaning okay, the Tanya, let's do the whole price and then we'll get back to it. Name Masisa like Rabbi Yeshua. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yeshua. The Tanya Masisa Alesecha Habasa Adam. It says you should make oilus, right? A korban oila, basar and dam, right? Meat and blood. Rabbi Yeshua says, "Im ein dam, ein basar." If there's no blood, then there's no basar. Meaning, if something goes wrong with the dam, let's say it gets spilled or it gets tamei, then you don't put the basar onto the mizbeach. Im ein basar, ein dam, and then the opposite too. If something goes wrong with the basar, then there's no blood. Then you don't sprinkle the blood onto the mizbeach. That's Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer says no. Dam afal pisha ein basar. Blood, even though there's no meat, right? You should pour the dam on the mizbeach, right? So then what am I going to do with the pasuk? And you should do your oilus basar and dam, which sounds like the two are dependent on each other. Tells you just like blood, you sprinkle on the mizbeach. Af basar bezrika. Even the blood, even the meat has to be sprinkled on the mizbeach. Now, what does that mean? He has a very interesting opinion. He holds, right? So you had the ramp of the mizbeach, and then you had the mizbeach, right? It's this week's parsha. I mean, today, right? We talked about that that's a ramp and not steps. In between the ramp and the mizbeach, according to him, there was a space, and you didn't have to you didn't go and place the meat down on top of the mizbeach. What you did is you had to throw the meat over the space on the mizbeach. So the same way you threw blood on the mizbeach, you also threw meat on the mizbeach. That's what Rabbi Eliezer says. But according to Rabbi Yeshua, it says just the blood you pour, having nothing to do with the basar. No, because it says by him, it says va'basar toichel, right? Which means that you only eat the meat if the blood goes on the mizbeach also. So on Talmud Beis, v'hani trei kroi lamali. Why do you need two different pesukim? Right? They're saying the same thing. According to Rabbi Yeshua, why do you need two pesukim? So he said chad ba'oila v'chad b'shlamim. No, you need two pesukim. One to tell you the korban oila has this din that you need dam and basar, and you need one for shlam. But tzrichin you need both. Because if it would just said about oila, havamina oila he the chamira, you would think oila was strict. She can't color, right? Because it's totally burned up. Aval shlamim delay chamiri, but shlamim, right, is not so strict. So maybe you wouldn't have these requirements. Because of rachmana shlamim, and if it would say by shlamim, havamina adarabad is b'shtei achilas. By shlamim it has two achilas because people eat it and the mizbeach eats it. Aval oila, but the oila only goes on the mizbeach. The less b'shtei achilas doesn't have two achilas. So I would say the halacha doesn't apply. Kamash malan that you need both, right? That meaning you need basar and you need the basar and the dam to be good in order for the korban to be good. If either the basar or the dam becomes disqualified, so the other one becomes disqualified too. Okay, so that's the Machlokes. I mean, we're still in the middle, but this is the Machlokes back and forth. What Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua do with this limit? We still haven't gotten to the question. Again, this whole question was that our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehoshua. But right now, the Gemara is going through a shakulatari, what Rabbi Yehoshua and Rabbi Eliezer's opinions are. Rabbi Eliezer nami hoksiv basar toichel. Rabbi Eliezer also says basar toichel. Right? He says, no, that's telling you that the basar is not mutter ba'achila until you throw the blood. Right? If so, so why don't we say that everything is coming to tell you that? And then how do you know that blood, even though the meat is no good, how do you know that it's still okay? So I'll tell you, why doesn't it say eat the meat and then sprinkle the blood? The tzibur, the way it says it in the Bereisha. It says right, where there it puts the basar first and then the dam. How come it makes it in this pasuk the dam first? So what's teaching us is this blood, even though there's no basar. And we also hear from this that the basar is not mutter ba'achila until you throw the dam. Right? So now, okay. So then Rabbi Yehoshua, how does he know it? Because he needs the pesukim to tell you that you need both. Meaning you need the dam and the basar to be together. Again, Rabbi Yehoshua, who it's a kavachaymer. Murin, right? The fats that get put onto the mizbeach, when you don't have any murin, right? Meaning they got lost. Yeah, so you could still loy ma'akmi. It's not ma'akmi you from eating the basar. Meaning, let's say they gave out the basar to eat from the mizbeach, and then officially they put the emurin on either right away or at night, and then the emurin got lost. So do we have to call up the people and say, hey, by the way, you can't eat your mizbeach because the emurin got lost? No, it's not ma'akiv. So ki isnu, when it is around ma'akvi, then it is ma'akiv, right? Meaning, if you have the emurin, right? You have to be makriv them before you could eat. Dam, so blood, when it's not there, it is ma'akiv, meaning if the blood gets spilled, it's ma'akiv on the korban, and meaning it gets spilled and it doesn't get sprinkled on the mizbeach, it's ma'akiv. So ki isay, when you do have blood, like kosher came the ma'akiv, of course it's going to be ma'akiv until you actually throw it. So he's saying it's a kavachaymer. Rebbe Eliezer, milsadas, kavachaymer tarach l'kosav lakra. Anything that the Torah is, even though it's a kavachaymer, but the Torah would rather say with a pasuk instead of learning kavachaymer. Rabbi Yehoshua kol echad yigal l'midrash dashinon. Rabbi Yehoshua says no, where you could, wherever you can make a drasha, you make a drasha, right? And meaning rather darshan the pesukim and learn out from a kavachaymer, and Rabbi Eliezer holds no, you'd rather darshan pesukim and not come onto a kavachaymer. Fine. That's the back and forth of Rabbi Eliezer and Yehoshua. Now we get to the point. Hashta levim mastis in the like Rabbi Yehoshua. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehoshua. The kimadam are being tarti. Since Rabbi Yehoshua holds, you need both. You need the blood and the basar to be kosher, in order for the blood to be thrown in the mizbeach, and then therefore the korban's going to be okay. But tzitz achilas lemiratza, and he holds that the tzitz does not help you for food. So hechi asi betuma. So then how are you ever being makriv korbanos betuma? Right? If tzitz doesn't take care of the food, and we know that Rabbi Yehoshua holds that you need the food to be roy, and the tzitz doesn't take care of the food, so if that's the case, then you can never have a korban betuma. Right? So Elamai, our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehoshua. So when it says, no, afilu tame Rabbi Yehoshua, elakasav Rabbi Yehoshua, tzitz meratza ala oilin. The tzitz is meratza for things that go up on the mizbeach, like a korban oila, right? I'm sorry, not a korban oila. For things that go on the mizbeach, that it is meratza, right? Mela, if it is meratza, that means the meat that went on top of the mizbeach is good. So then Gemara says, "Hatina zvachim deika oilin." That's good for zvachim by korbanos because there's things that go up on the mizbeach. Ela oimer shtei alechem, the korban oimer shtei alechem, nothing goes on the mizbeach. the leka oilin, nothing goes on the mizbeach. My equal amemar. So then what are you going to say? And 2 of the 5 cases in our Mishnah are Ayman Shtei Alechem. So Amr, we say no. Ki Amr Yeshua Nami Devin and Tarti Bezvachim. He says, when do you need 2? That's by Zvachim. B'menachas lo yomar, but by korban mincha, he doesn't. It doesn't work. B'menachas lo yomar. So what it says by menachas, he doesn't say it. V'atanan nitnu shira. If avdu shira, if the leftovers of the kaimitz, right? The kaimitz is the kaimitz. When you take the kain takes a kaimitz from the korban, right? Korban is made out of flour. The korban takes a kaimitz. That taking that handful or whatever fingers full is the equivalent of the blood, right? So if it became tamei or avdu shira, kamidas Rabbi Eliezer kshera. According to the midah, it's an interesting choice of words. According to the midah of Rabbi Eliezer, meaning the halacha of Rabbi Eliezer, it's kosher. Kamidas Rabbi Yeshua, according to the midah of Rabbi Yeshua, it's pasul. Kamidas v'loy. So you see that Rabbi Yeshua is going to say the same thing by menachas. So the Gemara says kamidas v'loy kamidas. It's like and it's not like. Kamidas Rabbi Yeshua the bein and tarti. It's like Rabbi Yeshua that you need both, meaning you need the blood and the basar in order for the korban to be good. V'loy kamidas Rabbi Yeshua, but it's not like Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua b'zvachim amar menachas le'amar. He only says is then that you need both by actual animals, but by menachas he doesn't say it. And he says even menachas, the halacha applies that you need everything to be okay, right? The korban and the kemitza to be okay. Umano said, and who is this Tana? Umano hai Tana the koikav say umachrit femine. Who's the Tana that holds like Rabbi Yeshua but's more strict, right? Va'oid Tanya, and then we learned another brayso. Amar Rabbi Yosi Royani es divrei Rabbi Eliezer b'menachas v'zvachim. I see the halacha like Rabbi Eliezer by menachas and zvachim, but Rabbi Yeshua b'zvachim and menachas, which we're going to see tomorrow's daf exactly what this means. You hear what he's saying? He's saying that I see Rabbi Eliezer by menachas and zvachim, and Rabbi Yeshua by zvachim and menachas. Almost sounds like a riddle, right? I see Rabbi Eliezer's words by zvachim shaya dam afal pisha ein sham basar, because he says that it's blood as long as the blood is kosher, even though the basar is not. And I see Rabbi Yeshua by zvachim that if there's no blood, there's no basar. No basar, there's no blood. I see Rabbi Eliezer's words by menachas shaya omer, because he says kaimitz afal pisha ein shirayim. Kaimitz, right? Even though there's nothing left. Rabbi Yeshua b'menachas shaya omer im ein kaimitz ein shirayim. If there's no kaimitz, then there's no shirayim, right? Im ein shirayim ein kaimitz, and if there's no shirayim, there's no kaimitz, right? Meaning you see clearly Rabbi Yeshua holds that the tzitz doesn't work even for the korban omer. So you see he applies menachas the same thing as vachim. So those are 2 kashas. Ella, so we change the pshat. Ella, because of Rabbi Yeshua, hatzitz meratza ala oilin v'ala achilas. The tzitz works for anything that goes on the mizbeach and for food. So when it says Yahachi amai kamidas Rabbi Yeshua psula, if that's the case, why are you saying kamidas Rabbi Yeshua? It's pasul, right? If it could be both be brought, then it should be kosher. So we say ibud v'sarav enochanami. That's only going if the korban got lost or if it got burned up. It's not going if it became tamei. Ela nitma leman katani. So then who we going like? Our mishna says tumah, right? Who's he going? He can't be going like Rabbi Yeshua, right? So the Rabbi Eliezer pshita, and to Rabbi Eliezer it's pashit. He says hashta yesh laimar ibud v'sarav the less no machshir Rabbi Eliezer, right? If ibud v'sirav there's no machshir, right? There's nothing there. It doesn't exist. Yeah, that's what Rabbi Eliezer says. That's what Rabbi Eliezer says is din. It's considered kosher. Nitma de isei mipai, right? But where it's tamei, but it's around, right? Burning it and it got lost. The korban's not around. So that's what Rabbi Eliezer is mashir. Nitma de isei, but if it became tamei where it is, then he requires right. I'm sorry. It's a question. Who's going according to Rabbi Eliezer? Pshita hashta yesh loimer ibud v'sirav the less new machshir of the less new that it's not around. Meaning if it got lost or it got burned, and it's not around. Machshir Eliezer says the korban is kosher. Nitma the isa mibai. If it's tamei, which is still around, do I need to tell you that it's kosher? Of course it's kosher. Ella pshita Rabbi Shua v'tani psula. Ella must be pashit. It's Rabbi Shua, and it says that it's psula. So now we're back to where we said that the tzitz is not meratza. Any korban in the Torah, whether it's the basar is became tamei and the chaylev is around, or if the chaylev became tamei and the meat is around, you throw the dam. But if they both became tamei, then it's not. Alma, we don't say the din. Alma, meaning you can't throw the blood. Alma, because Rabbi Yeshua ain't tzitz miratza ala island v'loya achilas. So now we see that Rabbi Yeshua holds that the tzitz doesn't work not on anything that goes on the mizbeach and not on achilas. So now what? So who's the Tana? Elalaylam Rabbi Yeshua he must nisan. Really, our Mishnah does fit according to Rabbi Yeshua. V'loy kasha kan lechatchila kan b'di'ever lechatchila, right? So then you shouldn't sprinkle the dam kan di'ever, but here is talking about where you did it, right? So then. And ki Amar Rabbi Yeshua lechatchila. That when the Rabbi Yeshua say his din, that's lechatchila. But the eved loy, right? He then meaning when did he say his din that the korban is not good? That's lechatchila. But the eved it's going to be good, right? And the Mishnah too, right? It's going to be we're going to be makabel the korban even by the eved. So okay, we're not tamer the shani Rabbi Yeshua ben lechatchila. The eved you have to have a source for that. That Rabbi Yeshua holds. That there's a difference between lechatchila and the evet. The Tanya, nidma basar, if the basar became tamei, oishin nifsal, or it became puzzle, right? Now, what does it mean puzzle? Puzzle means a full yaim touched it. Oishayatza chutz leklayim, or if the meat went out of the walls of the Beis Hamikdash. Well, it says klayim really means curtains, but it means outside the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Yizarek. Right, you throw it on the mizbeach. Rabbi Shua, you don't throw it. Ma'ader Rabbi Shua shim zarak hortza. And Rabbi Shua's ma'ader, but if you did throw the blood, then the korban works. So you see that lechatchila Rabbi Shua asers, but the Eved he says it's mutter. So they're going to ask, and then no, chada the psula the Eved mashma. The word psula is mashma even by the Eved. Right. When the Mishnah says there are 5 korbanos that are brought, that's mashma. You bring them lechatchila, not b'di'evet. We're saying that our Mishnah is Rabbi Yeshua now, and he's saying it's a b'di'evet. We're saying it's b'di'evet. That's not the lashon of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says there's 5 korbanos that you bring lechatchila. So ella loikasha kan be yachid kan be tzibur. No, we're changing. We're saying one is a korban yachid and one is a korban tzibur, right? Right, meaning a korban yachid, you shouldn't do it when there's tumah, but if you did it, it's okay. But it's korban tzibur, you can even bring lechatchila. Name a masnise in the like Rabbi Yossi. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yossi. The Tani Rabbi Eliezer Omer. Yeah, no, okay, that's that. We should leave for tomorrow. Okay, it's a rough daf. It's a rough daf. I hope I tried to make something sense out of it. But okay, if there's ever a rough daf, Motzei Shabbos is the night that it should be. And tomorrow's is a continuation, then gets a little easier, but I guess Super Bowl Sunday, that's the day to have that too. So, okay. So I think
good to have the rough daf when you start when everybody's at Avos Abanim, so it's good.
Hello,
everyone is at Avos Abanim. Everyone.
Well, people that care about their sons. I'm sorry.
One second. Naftali Lando, what time does Avos Abanim start?
It started wrong today. It was supposed to start 7:15.
17. It's not over by 8:20.
No.
It's a 45-minute limud.
We're talking about 20. The actual learning, yeah, but the pizza and the French fries.
20 minutes.
And the weapons, yeah.
20 minutes. You need 20
minutes. And the schmoozing.
Yeah, and the schmoozing. You forgot the schmoozing part.
20 minutes you need for that? I'm sorry.
Are we
mine started at 7.
We're doing 8 o'clock tomorrow. Hopefully we'll nail the halftime. That's the goal.
Oh, the goal is, so why don't we just start halftime?
Because not everyone knows what time halftime is.
That's not really the goal.
I don't know. We could do it. Let's do that tonight. We'll do it for those football fans, right? We did it for the debate fans.
Football?
If the first half is going a little longer, we'll start a little after 8. Fine. Right.
All right.
All
But
right.
don't 1 second. Let's get something straight. If there's nothing going on at the end of the first half, there's no reason. You know what I mean? If they're running out the clock and they're doing that stupidity, then we could really.
That means you're going to have to follow up what's happening.
Yeah, I'm sure my kids are going to be making me nuts at the wedding to whatever.
There's a wedding at the Super Bowl?
It's in Lakewood. They don't know what
Lakewood
Super
doesn't
Bowl
believe
is.
in Super Bowl.
Trust me, they know.
Not his family.
Not mine. Yeah. At least
That's the religious Steins? Oh.
You know, in the old days, see, you're old school. In the old days, you couldn't make a Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday because nobody could watch it. Now everybody goes anyways, and they just watch it on their phones.
That's true. Everyone's on the phone anyways. That's true.
Right. So it's not. It used to be you go into a fancy wedding that the guy in the security guy in the bathroom had a TV.
In the coat room. The coat room had the little
guy had a TV,
transistor.
and everybody would be around him. Yeah, the good old days. I know the good old days. I try explaining to my kids that I watched maybe 1-2 Super Bowls in my life. I was zoiche to find a neighbor Epis who I got there for a half hour, whatever. But I see the ladies are coming on, so we're gonna get it out.
All right. Gershi, have a refuah shalema.
Good luck.
Amen. I get the vach.
Zvach.